What if everything you've been assuming about Henry is completely wrong? What if the hospital room isn't a hallucination? What if it's a trap? Think about what we just witnessed. A broken old man spends decades believing his family is dead. Then he finally finds Victor, finally gets a second chance, finally gets the opportunity to be the father he never was. And almost immediately, something starts tearing that reality away from him. The question isn't why Henry is seeing visions. The question is why the man in yellow wants Henry to see them. Before we dive into this theory, make sure you're subscribed, leave a like and share this video with another From fan. It helps this channel reach more viewers, beat the algorithm, and keep these deep dive theories coming every week. And fair warning, this video contains major spoilers for From Season 4, Episode 8, and everything leading up to it. Now let's talk about Henry, because I don't think Henry is losing his mind. I think he's being targeted, deliberately, carefully, and possibly more strategically than any character we've ever seen in this show. Let's go back to the moment everything changed. Sophia sits down with Henry. At this point, we already know Sophia isn't Sophia. She's the man in yellow hiding in plain sight, a predator wearing human skin, a monster sitting inches away from its prey. Then she does something that seemed almost insignificant at first. She puts her blood into Henry's drink. Not poison, not venom, blood. And From has taught us over and over again that blood means something in this town. Blood carries connections. Blood carries influence. Blood carries power. The writers could have chosen anything. Instead, they chose blood. Why? Because blood isn't meant to kill Henry. It's meant to reach him. Look at what happens afterward. The visions don't feel random. The visions don't feel chaotic. The visions don't resemble a drunk man stumbling through nightmares. They have structure. They have purpose. They tell a story, a very specific story, a story designed to convince Henry that Fromville isn't real, a story designed to convince him that another reality exists, a hospital room, machines beeping, doctors speaking, Victor living a completely normal life. Ask yourself something. Who benefits if Henry starts believing is a dream? Not Victor, not Tabitha, not Boyd. Only one person benefits, the man in yellow. And that's where this theory gets terrifying, because we've seen this strategy before. Remember Abby? Abby became convinced that everyone was trapped inside a nightmare. Abby became convinced that death was the way out. Abby became convinced she was saving people. And what happened next? Chaos, violence, murder. The town nearly collapsed. Now look at Henry. The similarities are impossible to ignore. He's seeing another reality. He's questioning what is real. He's beginning to doubt everything around him, almost like someone is replaying the exact same psychological attack, only this time against Victor's father. But here's where I think most people are stopping too early, because the hospital vision contains details that don't make sense if it's simply a fake hallucination. Why Victor? Why not Miranda? Why not Henry's younger self? Why not random strangers? Why specifically Victor? And not the Victor we know. A different Victor. A confident Victor. A healed Victor. A Victor who appears to have lived an entirely different life. That detail matters. Because the man in yellow isn't simply trying to scare Henry. He's tempting him. He's showing him a version of reality Henry desperately wants to believe. A world where Victor never suffered. A world where the nightmare never happened. A world where Henry didn't lose everything. That's not fear. That's manipulation. The most effective lies are built from truth, which raises another question. What if there is truth hidden inside the vision? Not the entire vision, not the hospital itself, but pieces of it. From constantly plays with memory, time, reincarnation, cycles, fragments of reality. Tabitha remembered things she shouldn't remember. Jade remembers things he shouldn't remember. Victor remembers things he desperately wants to forget. What if Henry's visions are operating under the same rules? What if the man in yellow isn't creating the images from scratch? What if he's taking real memories, real possibilities, and twisting them into a weapon? That would explain why the visions feel so convincing. Because they aren't entirely fake. They're contaminated truth. And contaminated truth is far more dangerous than a simple lie. Now let's talk about the blood itself. This is where the theory becomes even darker. Notice how many supernatural experiences in From involve some kind of physical connection. Touch, infection, worms, blood, dreams. The town rarely affects people randomly. there is usually a doorway. Sophia's blood may have created that doorway, a direct link between Henry's mind and the force controlling the town. Not enough to possess him, not enough to kill him, just enough to whisper, just enough to influence, just enough to reshape his perception of reality. And if that's true, then every vision Henry experiences is part of an ongoing conversation. The man in yellow isn't attacking Henry's body, he's rewriting Henry's beliefs. That's a much more dangerous weapon, because once someone stops trusting reality, they become capable of anything. Then there's Victor, the person at the center of everything. Victor has survived longer than almost anyone. Victor knows things he doesn't even realize he knows. Victor is connected to the town's oldest mysteries. So what better way to reach Victor than through the one thing Victor has always wanted? His father. Imagine what happens if Henry completely breaks. Imagine what happens if Henry turns against Victor. Imagine what happens if Henry becomes convinced that hurting Victor will somehow wake both of them up. Suddenly, the man in yellow doesn't need to attack Victor directly. He can use the person Victor loves most. That's the kind of cruelty From specializes in. Not physical horror, emotional horror, the destruction of hope. And that's why Henry matters. Not because he's Victor's father, but because he's Victor's weakness. Now here's the final piece. The one detail nobody is talking about enough. The hospital version of Victor looks older, healthier, different, almost as if Henry is seeing a future that never happened, or a timeline that never existed. From has spent 4 seasons telling us that time inside this world doesn't behave normally. The rules are broken, past and present bleed together, memories become reality, dreams become warnings. So what if Henry's vision isn't showing a fake reality? What if it's showing a stolen reality? A life Victor was supposed to have, a life the town took away from him. And what if the man in yellow is weaponizing that loss? Because if Henry believes that reality can be restored, how far would he go to get it back? How many people would he sacrifice? How many lines would he cross? How many terrible decisions would he justify? That is the true danger of the blood, not hallucinations. Hope, false hope. The most dangerous thing the man in yellow can give someone isn't fear. It's the belief that they can get everything back. And by the time Henry realizes he's been manipulated, it could already be too late. So here's the theory. Sophia's blood didn't poison Henry. It connected him to the man in yellow. The hospital visions are a carefully constructed psychological attack designed to convince Henry that Fromville isn't real. Some pieces of those visions contain genuine truth. Some contain outright lies. And the purpose isn't to kill Henry. The purpose is to transform him into the next Abby. A man so convinced that he's trapped inside a dream that he'll do something catastrophic in order to wake up. The real question isn't whether Henry's visions are real. The real question is whether Henry will still know the difference when the man in yellow is finished with him. And if Henry reaches that point, Victor may be the one who pays the price. But what do you think? Are Henry's visions showing another reality? A future timeline? A twisted memory? Or is the man in yellow running the exact same playbook that destroyed Abby? Let me know in the comments.